welcome to a special unplanned version of Drive Home Reviews. And as you can see, I am in fact not driving home. I'm sitting in a garage because I didn't know when I was going to have time to actually drive around and talk about this movie. And this is one I didn't want to sleep on. Like, this is one that I really need to talk about. I need to talk about it right now. So my already not so visually interesting aesthetic is even less so now, but this movie is worth taking that hit because I've said it many times over the course of the years, many times as I've been doing this show, that the reason I do this, the reason I do Drive Home Reviews is for movies like this. These movies that you don't expect to be what they are, you don't know much about them, and you go and see them, and they fill you with such joy that it's almost like it reignites your faith in film. I'm overstating a bit. This is not a Second Coming. This is not, a groundbreaking piece of cinema, but it is a movie that I left the theater feeling so good after watching. And I know that feeling so well when it happens. It happened when I saw Their Finest. It happened when I saw Stan and Ollie. It happened when I saw Last Night in Soho. This feeling that you are viewing something that you've been waiting for. And I need to talk about this because I want people to go see this movie because it is worth your time. So this is a quiet little movie, and I always feel very sorry for these films when they come out in the summer because they are competing with all of these big name blockbusters and sequels and franchises. And I think they're relying on the fact that not everybody wants to go see those. And they're kind of hoping to get that side audience. And I gotta tell you, I love me a good Marvel movie. I love me a big blockbuster. I'm human. I love those things. But I gotta tell you, I love a movie that makes me feel. And this movie made me feel. And yeah. So let's talk about it real quick. So what is it about? Well, the title kind of says it all. Miss Harris Goes to Paris. But in the details, Mrs. Harris is a war widow. The film takes place in 1957, I think it says. So, World War II has been over for a while. She has just kind of gotten it confirmed that her husband was killed in action. She had kind of been holding out hope that he would be coming back, which I thought was a little weird. But talking to my dad, who's the World War II expert, and my mom, who's a history major, and both of them kind of confirmed that no, that was not uncommon with a lot of folks, especially ones who kind of went missing in Russia, where they didn't come home for like almost a decade afterwards. So anyway. She's working as a cleaning lady, apparently a very good one, for a variety of clients that don't really respect her, don't really see her, and she suddenly gets it in her head that what she wants more than anything is a designer couture dress. And so she scrimps and saves and gambles and calls in debts, or and luck just kind of shines on her, and she gets the money to go to Paris and buy this dress. And of course, when she first gets to Paris, all the people, these big fashionistas, are very poo-poo of her. But then the people at the house of Dior, I think it is, take a great liking to her. And it's this movie about this person who wants something and gets it. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. So why does that make us so happy? I think there's a lot of reasons. This is a beautiful underdog story. But what makes this an underdog story, unlike a lot of the other ones we see, is Mrs. Harris, played by Leslie Manville, is not your traditional underdog character. All she wants is to simply own own something fine. Everybody can relate to that, I think. I think we can all relate to this idea of there's something out there that we all want, be it a designer dress, a fancy handbag, a limited edition replica of a, prop used in a movie, but everybody kind of has that holy grail, that thing that we want. It's frivolous, but we want it, right? Just to kind of, it fulfills something to us. And what's fun about this movie is that there's a 50-50 journey in which she goes on to get it. Part of it is her determination and her willingness to kind of do things to get that money. And the other half is the people willing to do things for her because they like her. Mrs. Harris is a good person. The closest character, honestly, that I can kind of compare her to, I normally kind of compare a character like this, like Charlie Brown, but this is not a Charlie Brown character. This is more like Captain America from the first Captain America movie, The First Avenger, in that he doesn't have a traditional character arc. Steve Rogers is pretty much the exact same person at the end of the film as he is in the beginning. The only thing that changes is his physicality, but everything else about him is exactly the same. His moral compass, his determination, all the good qualities are still there. And the character arcs of the movie come from everybody else's reactions to him. And that's very much what this film is. Mrs. Harris is the same character, essentially, at the end of the film as she is in the beginning. And where any kind of character arc or story movement happens, it's in people interacting with her, liking her just because of the natural good person that she is, and therefore paying it forward. This movie, what really got me about this movie is this is a movie that truly believes the best of people. This movie believes that people are good. And wow. I never thought it would seem like a radical idea that a movie would put forth the concept that people are good. But in this day and age, we are confronted by so much ugliness. We are just confronted every day by the sheer ugliness of humanity and what it's capable of. And especially over the last couple years, we have had a front row seat to that. We have just seen the ugliness of human beings just magnified and reported on. And we have kind of been trained, I think, since the 90s. I think the 90s is when it kind of started, to be skeptical of people, to be skeptical of people's motives, to be skeptical of people cozying up to us or doing something for us. We always feel like there's something they want in return, or they're gonna somehow stab us in the back, especially when it comes to film, right? You go see a movie and you see someone acting nice to a downtrodden character, and you're like, okay, eventually this person is gonna stab them in the back. Like, you are waiting for it, And if that's not the case, then it's the other way around, where everyone is laughing at this character, or everyone is being mean to this character, and it's painted up as some great favor they're doing to her, like in that Meryl Streep abomination from a few years ago, where she's playing the opera singer who is terrible, and everyone's laughing at her, and she doesn't realize it. Where it's played up as they're all doing her some big favor by letting her live her dream, even though they're laughing at her. But it's none of that. Every character that Mrs. Harris interacts with, that she meets on her trip to Paris, the first thing you think is this person is going to screw her over. She meets these drunk guys who hang out in the bus station, and you're like, okay, they're going to get her drunk and steal her suitcase. No. They make friends with her, and they walk her to the place she wants to go. Excuse me. The people at the fashion house are initially, a little skeptical. You got a little bit of that Julia Roberts and Pretty Woman thing, but then she's just so charming and so lovely that they want to do right by her, and they want to make the dress for her. And you're thinking, okay, these people are all just using her, or they're going to laugh in her face or whatever. No. they all genuinely like her, and they genuinely want to see that she gets this dress, that and they want to see this goes to someone real, as opposed to these people who just want it as a status symbol, you know. And these are carried through. She meets a rich gentleman who helps get her into the auction house because they originally turn her away. And you're thinking, okay, this guy is a scumbag. He's got to be a scumbag. He's using her, as a joke or something like that. No, he turns out to be a genuinely nice guy who enjoys her company and cares about her. And it's like, all of these people are being nice to her simply because she is nice to them and they like her as a person. And it's scary to say how much that blew my mind watching it, that this movie thematically and at its core believes in the best of people. It really does. And that not just that she is nice, but that all the other people that she meets are nice, even people that you don't assume are nice. Of course, there's the one woman who runs the house, who's like the manager of it, who objects to her having this dress. And we find out that, no, she's not a bad person. She just has to change with the times. So this movie believes that people are good and that being good will pay off. That if you are good, if you are a good person, the universe will see to it and it will pay it forward. And that's just such in this day and age of anti-heroes and snarky heroes and, emotionally stunted heroes and all of this stuff, to see the protagonist of our story be someone who is just nice, and is nice not because it gets her anything, but in fact it costs her things, and that she's rewarded just by the universe being nice, and that other people are actually nice too. I can't express the warm and fuzzies I got watching this movie. It's a really great film, and just that very simple theme that people are nice. And what if we assumed the good in people as opposed to the negative? What if people lived up to their best selves instead of their worst? What if we listened to our better impulses instead of our negative ones? And that we're capable of doing that. It's not just that what if we did, it's this movie saying we are capable of that. And it's not such a foreign thing. And that it blew my mind. I'm overstating a little bit, because obviously this is not a big, amazing, genre redefining piece, but it's a movie that, especially given where we've been the last 3 years, I think feel-good movies are starting to make a comeback. Feel-good movies used to be very cynical or very campy, like we were doing something wrong by being happy. I remember that was a criticism of the original Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, which were very hopeful, but people kind of said, oh, it's sappy, or campy or whatever. It's like, no, it's a feel-good movie when we needed to feel good in the post 9/11 era. And I think now that we're coming out of COVID and the world is still just so messed up from that year, with everything boiling over, I think we're starting to get to a point where we can feel good again, and having movies that make us feel good again are okay. And that is just so wonderful. There's very little I didn't love about this movie. A phenomenal writing, great cast. Again, Leslie Manville as Mrs. Harris is a wonderful, wonderful leading character. Just someone you have to sympathize with and care about and relate to. And a character like this is so easy to go overboard and make her just perfect and all of that. And I think they strike the right balance and they make her a real person. And I love that. Jason Isaacs is in this as one of her friends. And, my last review, I praised Michelle Yeoh and said, we need to really celebrate Michelle Yeoh. You know who else we're going to celebrate? Jason Isaacs. What a fucking brilliant character actor who doesn't get, I think, half the praise that he deserves for the work that he does. Jason Isaacs is amazing, and over the last couple of years, his body of work has just expanded, and everything I see him in, he's just amazing in, and I love him. And this is a character I've never seen him play. You're so used to seeing him play bad guys. He's kind of like the new Sean Bean. Some of you younger folks won't remember that for a while there, Sean Bean was the villain in everything, and Jason Isaacs has kind of had that distinction for a while too. But here he's just playing a lovely, wonderful character, and he's, again, just all the characters. There's a young lady in this, actually a Portuguese actress, who plays one of the models at the fashion house, who befriends Miss Harris. I'm going to try to pronounce her name correctly. It's Abla Baptista. Oh my God, she's wonderful and charming and sweet, and has this wonderful character arc of her own, where this life of a fashion model and of being in the spotlight is just not what she wants. She just wants to study philosophy. And she's inspired to go do that and to get away from this life that, yeah, she has the looks and can do it, but doesn't want it. And it's, if they ever make a biopic of Audrey Hepburn, this girl needs to play her. She looks a lot like Audrey Hepburn at several times in this movie, and it's staggering. But she gave a great part. The entire supporting cast is amazing. Well done, well fleshed out characters, all of whom with their own kind of mini character arcs that, again, shoot off of Mrs. Harris's. And yeah, the cast is just phenomenal. Again, these are all characters that you want to spend time with, that you want to be around. If I had a nitpick, if I had to say anything about the film that didn't really wow me, is that there is a little bit of, in my opinion, there is one moment that just doesn't work. Almost all the moments in this movie land hard, and stick it, 10 out of 10 from the judges. But one moment to me didn't work, and that is when Mrs. Harris is meeting with her French friend, the rich count, and he's telling her a story about his youth, and but he tells her that she reminds him of this maid at the boarding school he went to when he was a kid. And the way he says it is a bit insensitive, but what he says is that this was a person that made him happy, that took care of him when he was sad, that made him feel better in a very dark time in his life. And he's trying to draw that comparison to her, that's what she's doing now after the death of his wife, that she's kind of, just by being a beautiful person, has made him feel good. And she gets mad about that and kind of storms out on him. And I felt like that moment just was not, it didn't translate to me. I understood where they were going and why she was getting upset. But it still seemed like an unnecessary all is lost moment. I don't have access to the clip, so I can't put in Barry. Just imagine him coming out, the all is lost moment. But anyway, it was a moment that didn't land for me, and I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It felt like you understood what he was saying, and maybe you don't like being told that you remind somebody of a maid from when he was a kid, but at the same time, what he's saying and why he was making that comparison is still a very heartfelt moment. And the fact that she got mad about it enough to storm out and not even talk to him, that's the last time we see him till the end of the film. I don't know, that did not feel real to me. It felt like an unnecessary complication. There's also a couple other moments in here that I think push the boundaries just a little bit of reality, and we start getting a little bit too much into, perfect savior complex with her, where she leads the workers of the house in a strike, and of course they march into the boss's office, and he comes out and goes, "Your idea is great. This fashion house is saved thanks to Mrs. Harris. Yay!" It's a little much, but I don't know. I went along with it because it was just another feel-good moment in a movie that was made up of feel-good moments. These are quibbles and trifles to me. On the whole, this movie is fantastic. This film is just wonderful, and it gave me something I didn't know I needed. In a rough year, it gave me a film that made me feel really good. And I think that's worth all the special effects and blockbusters in the world. So let's wrap this up. It's late here. I'm tired, and I need to get to bed. But let's wrap this up. So final grade for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. No surprise, it's an A+. I truly enjoyed this movie. It was something that I needed. I didn't know I needed, and I was just so happy for it. A welcome surprise, and it's gonna end up on that top 10 list. I'm almost positive. And right now, again, I don't like making promises, but it's that number one spot is It's to Lose. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the year. But right now, Mrs. Harris is definitely my favorite film of the year. So we'll see what happens. And if it's playing near you, go check it out. Especially if you just need to feel good after these last 3 years. So all right. So that is it for me. That's it for this one. A little bit of a weird situation. I wasn't planning on doing this right now, but just decided to. And there you go. So thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for listening. Go see this movie. And as always, drive safe. And I will see you at the movies.